welcome to our Monday evening calls where we talk about final expense. And this evening, we'll be talking about how to deal with clients where the payment bounces back. How do we deal with cancellations, right? Stuff like that. So I want to touch on that in this evening's call. So every single Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, you'll find us on this call where we talk about everything final expense. With what I want to talk about this evening, okay, is NSFs, right? So the insurance company tries to draft money out of the client's account and there's no money to be had, right? It's like, hey, it's a day late, dollar short. So we could talk about how to make sure that that we're using the right companies with that. So some of the notes that y'all want to write down is NSF and how to avoid. Okay, so how to avoid them, one. And then how to resolve. So you'll run into an NSF. So we'll talk about not only how to avoid the NSFs, but how do we resolve that and make sure we can keep that client on the books, right? So that's pretty important. All right. So for me, what is an NSF? Okay. So that basically means that there's not enough money in the client's account and it bounces back, right? Insufficient funds, it bounces back. And then what happens is it can cost the client money, right? $35 every single time that it happens. So obviously they're not too thrilled when that happens. Now, this can also be a pain point for clients as to why they are not going to purchase insurance, because they think that insurance companies just take the money out whenever they want. And that's a big disappointment for them. And it's not something that they want, right? So we need to overcome that before it becomes an objection. And then let's talk about how to resolve it when it does occur to our own personal clients. All right. So before it even becomes an objection, one of the main things that I want to do when I'm talking about this with clients is I want to say, hey, what happens is they do what's called Social Security billing. Okay. And with Social Security billing, what they do is they go ahead and they make sure that they draft the money out in accordance with it. So let's say, for example, Miss Mary, okay, you get paid on the 1st of the 3rd. Well, if the 1st of the 3rd falls on a Saturday or Sunday, some insurance companies, they don't draft until the following Monday or Tuesday, where the money's not out of the account till Wednesday. But you and I know that you get paid the Friday before. Okay. So we need to make sure that when you get paid, your insurance and your other bills are getting paid, right? Because when you get your money, the insurance company should get their money, right? And they usually agree. And then when it comes to the weird Wednesdays, okay, the weird Wednesdays, the way that we do the weird Wednesdays is the same thing, Miss Mary. So if a client gets paid on one of the weird Wednesdays, the way that the weird Wednesdays work, just so you guys know, okay, is if a client is born the 1st through the 10th, they get paid on the 2nd Wednesday of the month. If the client is born on the 11th through the 20th, they get paid on, or it's 11 through 19 or 11 through 20. You could Google it. It's just Social Security. It tells you right on there when clients get paid the weird Wednesdays. So let's say 11 through 19. Okay. That's the 3rd Wednesday. And then the 20th through the end of the month, right? They don't say the 31st or something like they say end of the month. That's the 4th Wednesday. Okay. So that's how that works. So Miss Mary, that Wednesday is a different day of the month every month. Okay. It's a different date. So it's some months, the 3rd Wednesday might be the 17th. Some months it might be the 21st. So we need to make sure that we use a company that drafts it out in accordance with Social Security. Okay. They call it Social Security billing. Okay. And you get paid, like your money goes to a bank, right? Okay, great. Do you use like a traditional bank or a local credit union? Local credit union. Perfect. So what happens is Social Security sends the money there, right? Okay, great. So they send it on the 3rd Wednesday, but the 3rd Wednesday may change every single month. It's going to be a different day of the month. So what the insurance companies do is they hook it up to Social Security billing. So basically what that means is as soon as the money hits your account, within a couple hours, they're taking the money out of the account to guarantee that your insurance is getting paid. Okay. Because what happens, Miss Mary, is sometimes you go, when people are dying towards the end of the life, which is when you need the insurance the most, obviously you don't need it right now when you're healthy and you're doing all right. Okay. When they need it the most, we want to make sure that it's there when you need it the most. Okay. So they ensure that, hey, instead of you going down to Walmart, getting a money order, writing your first name, your last name, your policy number, the name of the insurance company, putting an envelope, putting a stamp on the envelope, your return address on there, putting their address, writing it on, okay, walking it down to the mailbox and sending it back in, All right. We make sure, Miss Mary, that it's all taken care of, because if you were to go into a nursing home or if you were to have hospice care, right, you and I both know that you're not leaving that facility to go do all of that to pay your insurance. That's why we use Social Security billing. Okay. That's why Social Security billing is so important. Okay. So we want to obviously avoid that before it even lapses. So that's obviously important. And that's the pitch with it. So that's my pitch on Social Security billing and how it works. Okay. Now, what happens hypothetically if they get to the account before the insurance company does? Because some clients literally go down the bank and they are there when the money, when it hits the ATM at 2 a.m., right? And the insurance company's not drafting out till 6 a.m., let's just say. Well, it's tough. What can you do? Right? You can't do much. You can't do much. So that's important for us as well. All right. So we need to know when we get those letters, when we get those emails from the insurance company, like, the money bounced back. All right. So how do we resolve that? Because we just went over how to avoid it and how to pitch it to ensure we're going with the proper companies, because there's still some insurance companies out there that don't use Social Security billing. All right. So we want to stay with those companies. One, but two, it bounces back because the client's out there at 2 a.m. at the ATM, ready to go get their cash, and it's done, and it still bounces back. Okay, that's fine. So what I do, there's a couple different approaches. And I want people to keep in mind, because this is very, very important. Don't be afraid to call your client, right? You took time, right? You bought a lead, you took time, you called them, booked an appointment, or door knocked them, drove, right? Spent money to get there. You sat down, you talked with them, you liked them, they liked you, right? Don't be hesitant and don't be scared to call your client. Right? It's a lot of effort for you to get in front of that person. And before you left, I'm sure they liked you, right? They wouldn't have given you all of that, very invasive information, their social security number, their account and routing number. They wouldn't have given you all that information if they didn't like you. So don't be afraid to just call that person up or knock on their door again. Okay. So that's important for you to understand is, hey, how do I overcome that? How do I make sure that, I don't have that mental fear, right? And just understand that process that you went through it, and understand that you sat down with them and they liked you, right? They liked you. They want you to go ahead and call them when something like this happens. Let's say it's their first draft. Okay. So there's a couple different ways to handle it. Let's say it's their first draft. And then let's say it's an existing policyholder that's had it for what I would say an extended period of time. Okay. So the first draft, that's something that's pretty simple. So I get emails all the time. If I were to pull up my email, I could go and I could search for one. I pull them up all the time and I look at it. All right. And I say, hey, this client's payment bounced back. And it's the first time that I ever wrote them. There's a couple different things I'm going to do. First, I'm going to call them, because when I left that house, I followed the steps from the persistency training call, right, that we did a few weeks back, 2 or 3 weeks back, right? From that persistency training call, I followed all my steps, but the money still bounced back. That's okay. So they already know who I am because I'm so far in front of them. My number is already saved in the phone with a picture of both of us, right? Together, labeled insurance man, whatever you want, right? Insurance agent, insurance lady, whatever you want, right? Something cool, right? Whatever your name is. And then, something associated with insurance. And you have a good relationship. So when you call, right, that they're probably going to answer the phone. And if they don't, I text all the time. I text a lot of clients all the time, not to set an appointment. I'm not big on that, right? But I text clients all the time that are mine. Hey, just real quick, Avis, by the way, your policy premium, it came back returned. So, hey, what I'm going to do, there's a couple different ways that I can fix it real quick. Here's option 1. Here's option 2, right? Option one, did you if you need me to send you a payment form, I can go ahead and send you a payment form, then I can update it for you. Okay. Get your bank account updated, like if you change banks. And then option number 2 would be, we just have them double drafted, right, next month. So it's usually something very simple in a text message form is, hey, we just need to get your banking updated real quick. Can you just give me a phone call? Or do you want me to just send you the form out? I'm just looking for a way to get them on the phone, right? That's it. Because once we get them back on the phone, we're smiling and stuff like that. Or you just tell them, hey, I'm actually going to be out in that area tomorrow. Do you want me to stop on by around 10 a.m.? Once they're your client, they trust you, they like you, right? Get back in front of them again. You're smiling again. Whatever it is, it gets fixed. If you need to rewrite another application, right, because they can't afford to do 2 months of premium payments, right, or 3 months of premium payments if they're that far behind, that's okay. You can do that, right? Just don't make a habit of it. We give a client a second attempt, right? That's it. Same premium, that's fine, right? Or if they can't afford it, and that's the reason why it drafted, hey, let's just go down from $100 a month. We can start, let's just do 75, and then we can increase it down the line. Just let that get comfortable, let that fit in your budget. Okay. And I usually have the letters, I'll kind of print them out and I put them in my stack of, it's like a lead for me, right? If this person didn't answer the phone, if this person didn't answer the text message, I'm just going to go to their house and sit down and talk with them, right? Because they like us, but they get a million phone calls a day. It's spam. They're seniors, right? They may not be the best with technology sometimes. So text messaging might not work, right? And they're not great with their phone or technology. They don't see a missed phone call or know how to operate it sometimes. You guys see when you go and you sit down with them and you help them. Right? They may not be the best with some of this stuff. And that's okay. So just go back to their house, sit down and talk with them, right? And circle around because you worked very hard to get that deal. And saving an app is pretty much just as good as writing an app, right? Because a chargeback is not what we want, right? So we can do that. Now, if it's a client that's an existing client, they've had it on the books, I'm going to do a very similar process, except, they've been paying it for 6 months, right? So that 9 months, a year, right? I get them on the phone. I'm going to ask them if they want more insurance, right? Like that's my client. They've had it for 6 months, 9 months. I don't care if it bounced back, right? But things happen. Life happens. Life happens to all of you on this call. Things change. Financial situations change, right? Yeah, I couldn't do this. I couldn't do it this month because I had to buy my grandson new jeans to go to school. I think that was Gustavo's client. Yeah, I think it was Gustavo. It was in the home with the client. And I think that's what it was, right? She was like, literally, no, actually it wasn't. No, it was Vanessa. It's Vanessa's client. Yeah, she's on the call. So it was Vanessa's client, and the lady, like we were pitching her, or we were explaining to her the difference between like a Med Sup and a Medicare Advantage plan. She's a T65. It's her first time enrolling Medicare. And, I was explaining to her the difference. And she's like, honestly, I'm not doing $130 a month. Like I can't afford that. We just had to buy the grandkids, clothes to go back to school. Right. So you got to think about that. Right. What time of year is it? Okay. Well, grandkids might be going back to school. Their daughter might have lost their job in St. Louis. They had some floods, right? Things happen. So don't just assume because someone missed a payment that, oh no, it's a chargeback. They're trying to cancel. No, things happen. Work with them. Talk to your client. Stay in front of them. They're your client. They like you, right? They bought a policy from you. Maybe you have to wait 2 months. I literally had a client that actually just texted me like a couple days ago, last week, at the end of last week, probably like Friday. And she was like, hey, can you get this restarted for me? Right. I just, I was a little tight. Can you get it restarted for me? I was like, not a problem. We'll get it restarted. Now, do you one better? You know what? We'll wait till October. So I know things are a little tight for you. Your first payment won't be till October 3rd because we're at the end of the month anyways. Let her get one more check. And we're within 35 days. So you're still going to get paid the commission anyways. But her first payment, right, it's like leniency and we're helping her out. She's like, dang, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Right. So I just communicated with her. Miss a payment. She already made 4 payments. Right. But she's like, I can't afford 2. That's going to be $300 because she's paying $150. Something came up. Something happened. She had to pay her auto insurance. Auto insurance went up in price. So I would advise you guys to do that. Stay in front of them. Stay in front of your clients. All right. So on this call, I have Mr. William Montgomery. Mr. Montgomery, I want to unmute you. Let me hit ask to unmute. He's got a pretty cool approach that he does and some stuff that he says when he's at the door. Him and I were talking about it a few weeks back. So there's some other stuff that I'll go over in terms of like cancellations and stuff like that. And we can review that next. But Mr. Montgomery, if you are unmuted, sir, so can you just kind of give us a run through of what it is you kind of do and you say when you get to the door and how you approach these clients?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. I can hear you just fine.
Okay. As usual, Holden, I came in a few minutes late, but the 10 minutes or so I've been listening to you took everything that I would think about saying, and you said it all. I mean, there's no meat left on that bone at all. Um, but so it's not, and I'm not an expert at this by any stretch of the imagination, because I came into the business probably about 3 years ago. And the way I was brought into the business is the way you handle lapses is to keep writing. Just overwrite the lapses, I guess throw enough stuff against the wall and see where it sticks. And that kind of worked for me for a while. My first year here with Ephesus, I don't remember paying any really close attention to lapses. I don't remember having a lot of great lapses because I put a lot of attention in the relationship up front. For lapses happen for a reason. If it was a bad sale, if it was forced on them, if they don't like you, like Holden was just saying, then you probably got a potential for a lapse. But outside of that, it's got to be some logical reason for a lapse. But I'm going to just tell you personally about me, and that's all I can say is what I think. I was apprehensive to approach lapses because I was thinking I'm approaching a negative situation. I'm thinking the reason they lapse is because they didn't want it in the first place, and there's nothing I'm going to be able to say to them if I didn't do it right the first time to get them to acquiesce and go back and reinstate the policy or whatever it takes. But a few months ago, like Holden just said, we had a talk on this subject, and I think it was you, Holden, or Ben was really stressing the importance of getting out and seeing your lapsed clients. So I took it one day. Then I just decided to go out and do it. I was short on appointments, and I decided to do it, starting with this one guy. I'll just call him Bob. And we had a great rapport, and it was a real easy sale. I think it would be what you call a laydown. Those are the ones you worry about the most. And sure enough, first month, check didn't go through. Normally, I probably would have just kept writing. It was a small enough policy, about $50. And but I decided to go by and see him just to test out this thing that we were doing. Now, I didn't want to call the guy because I feel, and I may be wrong about this, I wanted the element of surprise. I wanted to be in his face when I brought the subject up. So I went unannounced, but I forgot that he had one of those locks on the door. Tell me if I'm going too long with the story. Hold on.
I love it. No, keep going. It's a great story. Please go ahead.
So when I get to the door, there's one of those locks where you need a code. So the element of surprise, there's so much for stealth, right? So I try to call the guy, and his mailbox was full. So now I'm way out. This was 45 minutes out of my way. I went by to see him. It was close to another appointment though, thank goodness. And I decided to do it that way. But his mailbox was full. The door is locked. I have nothing left to do but get back in my car or fax this guy. I'm not faxing, texting. And hold on, I had this. I wanted to pull up the actual text because I forgot.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, because I know you and I were talking about take your time on that. Well, and while he's looking for that text real quick, so just remember, right? He went by unannounced, he said, just a drop in, a drop by. I'm just going there just to see my client, right? That I took time to acquire. And like I said, this was a laydown. This is someone that liked him. And he kind of took that negative mentality that us as agents, we all have it. Just like we're scared, like, oh no, they don't want to talk to us. They don't like us. Like, nah, things happen. Life happens. So yeah, Will, go ahead.
Up, but here, I'll go the best I can, just go off of memory. Okay. So I wrote in the text, Bob, I see that your policy lapsed, and I wanted to, I called your phone, your mailbox was full. I said that I just wanted us to sit down and see. I got several options that we could do and get it back on track. That's the best I can remember. I said, and before I can make it back to the car, he called and said, "Oh yeah, my checking account. I had to change checking accounts, and you can come get a check." So I had to make up a reason to tell him why I was right outside his door. He came down and let me in. So the reason I tell that though is because my apprehension to go and talk to this guy was really great. And here this guy needed my help. Oh, I know I said something in that text to the effect of if you haven't already handled it.
Because that's a great point.
Yeah, we're sitting up here thinking that these people are going to reject us, and they're sitting up here really needing our help. you know, and he didn't know how to reinstate his policy or whatever like that. So he was happy to get the help. So if you wanted me to, hold on, I'll just name a couple of other ones that I did.
Please do. Yeah, absolutely.
So in that same day, the same day, because I'm on an attack now, I'm all loaded up with Ben, you know, hyping me up or whoever that was that gave that talk that day. So I went by, I had a lady that it was $180 some policy. Now this, before I was saying I didn't really worry about the $50, but when you look at $180, that's like $50 times 6. So I'm going on this one. But this lady actually had the policy for a year. So, and when I went by, it was the same thing. They were very appreciative. She had lost her job. Now her mother has no insurance, and we worked it out, you know, to where we had to rewrite it. And they wanted to rewrite it for the same thing, but I'm rewriting it for half of what it was and telling them we'll put the other half. But the problem here is her mother's 80. If I'm not mistaken, I think she's 84. No, she's 80. So the company I had written her with, which I think was Prosperity, they don't write past 80, right? I had to go to another company. So
Yeah.
there was no way they would have got that policy reinstated. And I mean, I could tell other stories like that, because this is a work in progress with me, because now I'm really fascinated because of something you said earlier, Holden. Which one would I rather do? Walk up to one of these doors, especially on a door knock, where people don't know me and I got to build all this rapport or anything, or go back to a house where I've been before, I was well received. And really, I look at it as another opportunity to establish myself in that house. And it really feels good, because before I never found the time to go back to customers that I had written. But now I'm seeing it's really probably a great idea for us all to at least call or go back to these houses as we pass by. And we probably would avoid a lot of lapses.
I agree. I completely agree. Thank you for that too. I really appreciate you hopping
Thank
on
you for
and
not
sharing that
leaving me
stuff.
much space, because you said all the good stuff and it's really great. So I really appreciate it.
Sorry about that. All right, thank you so much. As always, guys, appreciate it. That's Will Montgomery. So if you see him in the group chat, or if you met him in St. Louis, y'all know him. He's awesome. So yeah, so there's a couple things I want to unpack over there too. You know, so initially, right, when he said he got in the business, he was just taught just write, just like me. Write more business. Don't worry about lapses. Don't see those people. Buy more leads, see more people, buy more leads, see more people. But then after a while, you realize if your persistency is 70, 75%, you're kind of spinning your wheels, right? Especially the first 9 months you're in business and you don't have months 10, 11, and 12. You don't have any renewals. You get a big chargeback or a big death claim. Stuff like that happens and it comes out of nowhere. Right? You gotta maintain your existing book of business. So let's unpack a couple of different things that he just said over here. So I want to make sure that you guys know this, because it's applicable to insufficient funds, or it's applicable to cancellations as well. But he went unannounced and dropped in, right? He tried the voice box when he got to the apartment building, didn't answer. He tried phone call, phone's off, or voicemail's full, right? Boom, let me shoot him a text. I'm here, right? Sometimes you could wait till someone walks out of the building and you can walk in. Right. But I'm here. Let me try it again. Right. And there's something that he put in there too, that he said as well, if you haven't already fixed it. I didn't even think to say that. Right. But it's something that I try and do as well. Cause it's like, hey, if you haven't already fixed it, by the way, like if you haven't called the company, right, here's what I can do to help you. And I do that same thing that he said all the time, because I think that it really helps the client, right, understand that. And we'll dive a little bit deeper into what happens when they actually get the NSF too. So I think it really helps the client. Just you're keeping that open line of communication with the client open, right? And you're just kind of saying that it gives them like an out to be like, yeah, no, I already fixed it. Or a cool thing can happen is it prompts a phone call. And that's what I love. Right. I love when the clients call me, right? It prompts a phone call. Whereas a lot of people, they look at their phone and they're like, clients call me. Oh no, ugh, that's not good. I'm scared. Right. But let's walk through the process of, you know, when a client calls me, hey, how you doing? Or they respond to be like, no, I already fixed that. Like, is everything okay? Because sometimes I won't get it. Let's say, you know, they get paid on the 3rd, right? So the 3rd of this week is a Saturday. Okay. Which means they're getting paid Friday before, which is the 2nd. and it might not bounce back from the bank till the 7th or the 8th. Okay. So let's say next week on Wednesday or Thursday, right? It might not bounce back. So, or we don't get that notification till, some days later. So that's why it's, oh, hey, if you haven't already fixed it. So I don't want to approach it of, hey, can you get this done? It's like, hey, if you haven't already fixed this. So that's crucial. Let's really add that note in there. All right, let's talk about what happens when that, from a client's perspective. Okay. So what happens when it bounces back? Okay. Payment bounces back, separate from a cancellation. When the payment bounces back, the insurance company takes it off of automatic drafting and they put it on quarterly bill payment. So that quarterly bill payment sends them out what? A bill for 3 months. What does a bill for 3 months do to our clients? Scares them. They don't know what to do, right? He said it. Clients don't know how to handle it and how to fix it. So that's why we have a job, right? It's our obligation. It's our responsibility. We told the client we're going to do it, so we're going to do it. Okay. We are going to get that done. So with that said, right, the clients don't know how to handle it. They think that it's 3 months of a bill. I called a guy one time. He was out in North Carolina, out in the country, Eastern North Carolina. I mean, we were getting pretty dang close to the border over there, and real country, nice area, great guy. And I still remember who he is. Lived in a nice mobile home or manufactured home, right? Sweetheart of a guy. I got back. I was doing a blitz. I lived in Texas. I did a blitz out there in North Carolina, and I called him and I talked to him. Hey, you missed your first payment. Do you want me to get it updated, or do you want me to get it restarted for next month? And he's like, yeah, no, I know. Like, I'm going to pay that bill the 3 months. And I'm like, no, you don't need to pay the 3 months, right? He thought that he actually had to pay the 3 months, because when that happens, they take him off the auto draft. Okay. And they send him out a bill for quarterly. So you have to keep that in mind. You have to think from the client's perspective, not just an agent's perspective. You have to think from a client's perspective. Okay. So think about that stuff and what prompts or what letters they get. Okay. So that's important to understand as well. So they don't know how to fix it. It's our job to fix it, which is why you get paid what? A commission, right? It's your job. It's literally your job to do it and maintain that book. No one's going to do it for you. So in that scenario, you gave, hey, the client lost their job, or the client had to close out their other bank account and open up a new bank account, right? Just things happen. So that's important for y'all to understand as well. So it's not just, so we'll just kind of, cover that overall and put it back together. It's not just write more business. Of course, we want to be consistent. We want to write more business and just continuously write more business. But we do need to take time to maintain that book of business and to handle that and sit down with the client. It always brings a smile to your face when you go see someone that already likes you, right? Instead of going to the door of someone that you don't know that you got to build rapport with again, right? So it's awesome. We're going to always talk to them, say, hey, if you haven't already fixed it, right? This is, I can go ahead and handle this for you real quick. I could just get this form all done. Clients don't understand how to handle it. So that's your job to show them how to do it. They don't need to pay all 3 months, and things change, life changes. So you need to be understanding of that. So that way you can help them on out. Now, let's get into, if anyone's got any questions too, let me pull up the chat actually. Just let me look real quick. Okay. I don't see anything in the chat. So as per usual, if you got questions in the chat, we can do that. And we can unmute as well. All right, let's talk about cancellations. So cancellations, everything that I just said in terms of like dropping by and going to see the client and stuff like that, I still do that, right? Because a lead's a lead, and you don't know why someone canceled. Someone could have canceled because they lost their job, right? And they just can't afford that amount of money. But can they afford half, right? If they lost a $75 and they couldn't afford $75, maybe they literally, and you stay on top of it, and they get another job 2 or 3 weeks later, and they're like, hey, hey, I lost my job, but I want to restart my insurance as soon as I get a new job. Are you going to let another agent, are you going to let that client send in another direct mail card, right? Or are you going to stay on top of that, right? Stay on top of that client, right? They cancel the policy for many different reasons. There's many different reasons in life, just in general. And if it's their first payment, depending on the size of the policy, of course, right? I care more, as he was saying, about $187 a month app than I do about a $30 app. But still, how much time does it take for you when you're driving from one house to the next to make a phone call on a cancellation, right? Oh, hey, I saw that there must have been like some type of issue and the insurance company has sent me out a letter. I just want to make sure everything's okay. Yeah, I canceled that insurance. I don't want it. Okay, great. Not a problem. Perfect. Boom, click, done. Take that off my list, right? Problem solved, right? But if a client is canceling because of a trust reason or a trust factor, you're a salesperson. Get them on the phone, communicate with them, talk with them. Oh no, I tried to call you, you didn't answer your phone. That's a very simple reason for a client to cancel. I never got my policy in the mail, right? I'll print it out. I'll bring it to you right now. Okay. Let me confirm the address. Oh, I wrote the wrong apartment number, right? Clients cancel for the slightest and smallest reasons. Okay. And so you want to make sure that you stay on top of that and just make sure that you're following up with your clients. That's all you got to do. Follow up with your clients. It took you a lot of time and a lot of money to get to them. So just make sure you're on top of that as far as the cancellations go. Cancellation, new cancellation, if you literally just wrote it last week and they call in to cancel, right? Obviously, you're going to stay on top of them. But a cancellation prompted, an email to get to you or however it got to, usually emails, right? That's what comes in. And you see it in the client's canceling and they've had it for 2 years. You could think in your mind replacement. Well, if someone's canceling that policy and buying a new one, do I have something that I can go back to the client with and at least say, oh, whoa, you're getting this? Well, maybe this one's cheaper, right? Or you had it for 2 years. Now you're starting contestability over again, right? Whatever it is, you use the pitch to help that client, right? Understand it. So if you see a cancellation come in, why are they canceling? Maybe they got a ARP increasing 5-year term policy and you need to protect your book of business, right? Oh, you got that? Oof. Oh no, that's not good. I had a client that literally canceled because of that. I talked to them. They told me how much they were paying per month. They told me that they got the increasing, they told me what company it was. And I asked them about the policy. They told me it happened to be an increasing term policy, how much they were paying, about $200 a month. I explained to them the difference between the two over the phone. And she was like, yeah, I'd rather just stick with the whole life, right? I don't want something that's going to cancel. Okay, great. Are you still at the same exact mailing address? And I got all the information. I wrote the app on up and it ended up being like $200 something a month premium. But she canceled because she saw on paper a $10,000 policy, right? And that wasn't enough. So then she got something in the mail that showed $25,000 for the same amount. It's like curb appeal. It looked nice, right? And I was on the phone with Will when he was at home. I was like, yeah, no, that's a nice Cadillac, but it doesn't have an engine, right? No, I'm going to get you a nice Cadillac. It's got an engine, right? And it's guaranteed to last the rest of your life. Guaranteed to last. If someone told you that with a car, you'd probably buy it, right? It's guaranteed to last the rest of your life. Mint condition. It'll stay mint condition your whole life. And that's pretty cool. Or you could have this one that doesn't have an engine. Which one would you prefer? Got a little bit more features, looks nicer on the outside, right? So I explained that to clients and I talked to clients as well as far as like cancellations coming in. All right. So if you guys have some questions real quick, feel free to unmute and ask some questions or drop it in the chat, because those are some of the creative ways that I like to go ahead and handle those insufficient funds or those cancellations, right? Money that bounces back, right? So don't be fearful of your own clients and don't be scared to ask questions. Scott, I asked to unmute. Scott, yeah, go ahead.
I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Okay, great. Back on the cancellation that you were talking about, one of the things you did maybe mention is sometimes I've had people call me up and ask me to cancel the policy. And you can still be nice, but what you want to do is you want to try to revert them to let them cancel their own policy. I had a lady here in San Angelo. She called, or her son called me up. I think it was 3 weeks after I wrote the policy and said she wants to cancel a policy. And I let her know, she was getting a whole lot more for what she already had on the replacement. And so I gave him the number. She's still on the books after 18 months. So don't think that let them cancel it. You don't have to be mean. Just say, hey, here's the number. I can't cancel it for you. You'll have to cancel it because they have to talk to them anyway to cancel it. You can't cancel it for them.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's always little things that I'll miss on there. But yeah, he's 100% right. That's a great point. With cancellations, if a client calls me, cancel this insurance, I'm not the cancellation department. I am the sales department, sales and retention, but I don't handle the cancellations, right? So the actual cancellations and stuff, you know, and sometimes clients call and they're nasty in the room. It's like, all right, click, block number. Figure it out yourself. Right? Don't call me being rude. Like, we're not children, right? You could treat people with some common decency and some respect, right? So clients have to call and cancel themselves. And it's amazing that I've literally had people stay on the books and they die and their family's like super excited that they have an actual policy because it just stayed on the books, right? And I'm not just going out there and canceling people's life insurance. So they got to do that themselves. They're an adult. It's their responsibility to do it. And then to flip that coin the other way around, right? They have your card. They have the folder that the policy comes in. They have the stuff that you left behind. It says insurance on it somewhere, some way. They die. Who do they call? Your card's on the refrigerator, isn't it? Your magnet's right there, right? I've gone into houses where the policy's lapsed. They cancel it, whatever it is, and I end up going back to see them, and my card's still on there, even though they canceled it. So one thing that's important is you get this phone call and understanding what happens when someone dies, right? It's important to understand that they got all this information. They got this policy. They probably didn't throw it out. And you're getting a phone call from the client's daughter who's crying and upset. Mom died, right? Sorry, she canceled the policy. She would never cancel the policy, right? Yeah, she had called me to cancel it. And I helped her cancel it. What do you mean she would never cancel an insurance policy? She loves insurance. She made sure all of us had insurance. That's a huge thing. And I've got those calls so many times, right? And you guys know there's actually 3 sides to a coin, right? There's heads, tails, and then there's the edge, right? So there's 2 sides to that coin. And then there's the ways that you handle it. All right. So let's see. All right. We got Mr. Rob Robinson, I think it is. Rob R. I hope it is. This guy's a legend if it is. So Mr. Robinson, I asked to unmute there. Go ahead. Rob R, unless you're muted on your end, you might have to unmute on your end, but it shows that you're unmuted on my side. If you want to try talking there. Rob, I can't hear you. If you're trying to talk, I cannot hear you. Shows that you're unmuted. So what I'll do is I'm going to ask Mr. Poach to unmute while you try and fix that. I think if you're dialing it on your phone, maybe it's *6. Jeff, you can unmute. I had asked to unmute while he's figuring that out. Or Rob, if you could drop it in the chat too. Jeff, you can unmute as well. You can try to unmute real quick, Jeff. Mr. Poach, while he's trying to do that. Oh, here we go. Oh, okay. All right. Here, Rob, I'm going to call you real quick, and then I'm going to put you on speakerphone. So that way they can hear you.
There you go. How are you?
Good, good. All right, here you go. Everyone should be able to hear you now.
Yeah, let me turn down this part here.
Okay.
So one of the things I was going to bring up in regards to that second conversation is that when I have somebody call me to cancel, I will tell them for legal reasons you need to do this simply because there is no evidence that you canceled this policy. And for like your point that you made, if somebody passes away before they told their loved ones, hey, I canceled this policy or whatever that is, I mean, you're pretty much on the hook. So it is for your best interest or, your own safety that you make sure that they cancel either in writing or call the company that actually records those calls, because you're probably not going to record the call when you get it. And that, again, that's another step for them to make that they may not make anyway. They may end up keeping the policy for many years to come.
Agreed. And real quick, while I have you on the phone, what's your persistency with most carriers, would you say?
It's over 90%.
Over 90%, guys. So you're literally listening to Rob, and he's been with Equita. He's been around the block. He's seen some stuff. He's been in the business for a while, and his persistency is that high, and he's got a lot of clients, and he is a phenomenal producer. And and not only does he do final expense, but he also does Medicare, and that's going to help his book of business. Would you say that helps your persistency stay high as well?
Yeah, the more hooks you have in your client, the more things that attaches you to your client, the more likelihood of them staying with you for many, many years to come. And that was another thing that this is maybe not the call for it, but I would suggest those that are not doing Medicare, I've been doing this for almost 14 years. I wish somebody would have grabbed me by the collar and shook me 10 years ago to get me involved with the Medicare Advantage business. It is the same clients. I used to have a saying that he who chases two rabbits gets none. Apparently it's an old Indian adage, but I didn't want to divert my attention. I didn't want to go through the testing. I didn't want to go through the hassle of the CMS rules and all that garbage. But when I found a friend of mine that's been doing the business as long as me, he is now making about $15,000 before he gets out of bed because he has a book of business exceeding 500 Medicare clients. He does the life insurance as well. He doesn't do the final expense like I do, but the final expense is not your end all. It's great up front because you have all the front loaded commissions. You make good money. I make great money with it. But the Medicare is the retirement. It's the exit strategy that final expense could never be.
Exactly. Exactly. I appreciate that, Rob. And I'll be talking to you soon. So everyone pay attention to that. I'm going to hang up right now, Rob. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. And then we have Mr. Jeff Poach, who Jeff, what he just said, I think he was speaking to you directly. But yeah, there's a lot of people that we want to, hey, really, really focus on that stuff. Jeff, Mr. Poach, I'm trying to ask to unmute you. So I think you just have to unmute on your end because I click ask to unmute a couple times. So try that, my friend. So just so you guys know, that was Rob Robinson. So you'll be seeing him on the leaderboard for dang sure. He's a stud. I've had a client email me a day after to cancel. Like, yeah, they know for sure. Jeff, do you want me to try and call you and see? Because your hand's raised. I'm asking to unmute. Let me just text him real quick. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna try and call him real quick. He's trying to unmute. So let me go ahead and I think your phone's on do not disturb. Let me just try real quick. Okay, it's ringing now.
Yeah, you got me holding.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, they should be able to hear you now. I got you on speaker.
Hey, Dave, no worries. And yeah, you're right. I need to get my rear end gear on the Medicare side. But anyway, yeah, he did. What was the name of the last guy I just talked? I'm sorry.
Rob.
Yeah, he said exactly what I was going to say. If anybody's been on the morning calls past couple of weeks, Ben's mentioned it a couple of times of how you never want to cancel for the client for exactly that reason, for the legal reasons, because he got into trouble a number of years ago. They reported the insurance commissioner on and on. He told the story multiple times in the past few weeks on the call. So yeah, just whatever you have to do to just say, hey, I can't do that. It's they don't allow us to do it. It's the law. Even if you're telling a white lie, I mean, put it on them to cancel. And I had two examples in the last month that people called me 3 months ago to cancel, and they're still on the books. You know, so sometimes they'll just forget about it and they'll keep paying me anyway, or they they'll get distracted. So yeah, always let them cancel. That's super important. I run into that problem years ago too, where I canceled for folks, and like I said, it didn't turn out well. So that's great advice. But yeah, the second question, Holden, is I've taken some NSF from even people that are on Social Security. So I was kind of interested to see if you know of or can suggest one carrier that does it better than the other. I know it's not a perfect system.
Yeah.
But people talk about Direct Express, use Transamerica, this, that, and the other. But yeah, I use American Amicable, Prosperity. They all have Social Security billing, but I still get NSF from time to time. So do you have any advice on that?
Yeah. So that's a great question. I think personally, like, yes, like you just said, with Direct Express, Transamerica, to my knowledge, right? And this was back in the monumental days when you actually see monumental policies. They were the ones that invented Social Security billing, so they did it the best. Now they're just a headache and a pain to write. So that's kind of the inconvenience. I'm just gonna hang up on you, Jeff, real quick too, so you can listen through. So I do see that as something that's the best with them for Direct Express. Okay, but as far as it goes with drafting wise, here's the thing. I will tell every single agent this, right? Whatever company you have the highest persistency with, stick with that company. So some agents have the highest persistency with Prosperity. Some agents have the highest persistency with Liberty Bankers Life. Some agents with Transamerica, some with Trinity, right? Some with any company, it doesn't matter. So I think that they all do a pretty good job at drafting. my book of business with Prosperity is at 88% persistency, right? And some carriers it's lower. So I might want to focus on a carrier that's a little bit stronger for myself. But yeah, I do pretty well with Prosperity personally. And some people are better than me, right? And the rates are good, but I also stay in front of my book. So that should close us out for the evening. I didn't do, well, yeah, that'll close us out for the evening. There's one question in here real quick. Nope, that is it. All right, y'all. Well, I appreciate everyone joining this evening, and y'all have a wonderful evening, and I'll be posting this. So y'all hop on off. I appreciate you. I'll be talking to y'all soon.